What's going on, guys? Welcome to the next video. Now, as you guys know, that those of you that follow me on social media, the Black V has a dead power steering pump because I was doing this. So while I feel like I've been going kind of crazy, not being able to drive the 3000 or the V, I need to do two things. The first thing is pull the power steering pump off of the red V, slap it on this one, because that one's gonna get a turn one pump. That's not gonna happen today. But the second thing that I need to do is pull the alternator out of the 3000 and figure out where I got it from, because I should have a warranty on it. But I mean, whether I can or I can't, I gotta pull the alternator off. So I'm gonna try and get that situated and hopefully have this thing back on the road this week. So if you guys saw the video of us knocking down the garage wall in the front garage, we had all the 2x4s stacked up on this side of the garage. So last weekend, Morgan and I put all the spare car parts that were in the middle here up into the attic over there. And then we put all the 2x4s up in the rafters so that they're out of the way. So basically this side, I need to get rid of the headliner and the back seats of the red V, the Drift V, and sweep this all out, and then I should be able to bring the V in. So I'm gonna try and do that, get that done tonight. Just find somewhere to stash those seats before I bring them down to the landfill, and maybe bring Frank the cts-v drift car in here and see how well it fits, because I'm ultimately trying to decide if I'm gonna put the 3000 over here close to all the toolboxes, and then put the V over here, because the V isn't gonna be, it's gonna be stationary for a while, and there's nothing really over on this side of the garage that will require this car to be moved. I'm thinking I'm gonna end up putting the Mitsubishi over on this side, and then V on this side. So first though, I'm gonna jack this thing up and pull the alternator off. It's pretty simple, at least on my car, and it's like my 5th time of doing it. But I have to pull this upper intercooler pipe, move this coupler out of the way. There's a top bolt, and then there are a couple bottom bolts, the belt tensioner and all that underneath the car. So I'm gonna jack it up just a little bit, and we should have this thing out in a few minutes. First step though, before anything, kill the battery power. You don't want those live wires touching anything and shorting anything out. So I found something. It's interesting, very interesting. So I looked down here, and well, it seems like there's a belt missing on my alternator. So did I fling the belt? So looking around, there's no belt on anything. And then I have a shredded power steering belt. This is not good, folks. So do you guys see the issue here? My belt is long gone, I suppose. It just got flung off. But looks like my harmonic dampener decided today was the day it was gonna quit. I can literally slide it back forward. This is not great, because I don't think these are the easiest cars to do crank pulleys on. Something about like these bolts like not ever wanting to come out. And at the same time, I'm honestly just kind of impressed that it lasted this long. You know, I'm gonna need a new power steering belt, because since the pulley walked inward, it ended up, destroying. There's like rubber shavings all down in here. It ended up just ripping through this belt, but it looks like it's still grabbing enough to not completely lose power steering. But She's dusted, boys. And it looks like I now have a tight deadline, 1 month, to get a new crank pulley and get it installed on this engine. Really keeping my fingers crossed on this one, that's for sure. So I'm gonna put a pause to this video. I gotta run to the parts store, grab a 22mm socket, and we're gonna start trying to get the single most tightest bolt on a 3000 GT off, and then wiggle a 2-piece pulley off as well. Okay, well that wasn't as bad so far, but I don't want to be jinxing it here. So I just ran to the store, I grabbed a 22mm impact socket. I wanted to do it right here. I used the old Makita electric job here. I put the car in 5th gear so that it wouldn't roll, and just kind of zapped it and it came out. So I guess that's good. But now what I'm gonna do is cut that power steering belt. You know, it's crazy because it's the original power steering belt for this car and it was still totally fine. Cut the power steering belt and then see about getting the pulley off. I wasn't kidding, look at that. OEM Mitsubishi part numbers on there, but poor thing just got shredded. So now I'm gonna grab a rubber, oh wait, hold on a second. Hold on a minute here. See, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm not used to this kind of stuff. I'm used to the LS's. I've done the crank pulley on the LS a couple times. So I'm gonna get a rubber mallet, maybe give that a couple taps to see if I can get it to back out. And there she is, boys. Look at that. Came right off. Got the little pin there, the locator pin, timing belt thing. It looks like from the belts rubbing, it took a little bit. Let me try to put this guy here. It took a little bit out of the cover, plastic cover. So I'm gonna clean that area up, but looks like I just gotta get my hands on a new crank pulley. There's just rubber shards everywhere. It looks like, you know, the pulley went drifting. So we're jumping back in because the simple crank pulley swap turned into a much more involved project. So basically the 92 and up 3000 GTs have a Serpentine 4-ribbed belt for the power steering pump. So what that means is that the inner pulley on the crank pulley has 4 ribs. 91 only was a V rib. So it's just like a single rib of belt. So my car being a 92, drivetrains from a 92 GTO and all that, apparently in Japan, they use those V belts a little bit longer from what I've gathered here. So my car's a V belt. Now, here's what the issue is, I'll show you. Now my car having that V portion of the inner pulley on the crank means that it has the tensioner and the power steering pump have the same style pulley. So I was like, okay, cool, grab another pulley. 3SX makes a replacement 91 V-belt pulley, non-OEM, but it's a replacement. It's the only place you can get a replacement. So I hit up 3SX today just to make sure they had them in stock before placing an order on the site. Turns out their manufacturer discontinued them recently, so all they have is the aluminum ones. Now, I'm not too crazy about those aluminum ones. I like having a harmonic damper on the car because that's how it came from the factory, and you guys can say what you want about the aluminum like lightweight pulleys, but I'm sticking with the harmonic dampers. So I'm kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place here. I could get a used V-belt pulley from someone, but then I'm gonna run into this issue again down the line. So what I'm pretty much forced to do, if I want to keep a damper on the car, is to convert the car to a power steering setup and a pulley setup that has the 4-rib Serpentine belt. So I reached out to Hans, who tuned this car, has worked on this car before, and he's gonna get back to me as far as getting me an OEM pump and a tensioner, and that way I'll be able to swap the power steering pump and have an OEM pump on there, no reman like Rock Auto pump, and then I'll buy a Dorman replacement damper. So I'm starting on swapping out the fuel or the power steering pump right now, and looking down here, you have a giant bolt right here. You can't miss it. The bolt heads on these things are really long, so I got a wrench on that, and then there was a bolt right below that, this guy right here, to take off the tensioner. So I'm pretty sure the long bolts hold the power steering pump in, and the small bolt and this long bolt hold the tensioner in. So I disconnected the pressure line down the back side, and then the return line, the clamp is kind of hard to get to, so what I did is I disconnected it from the bottom of my reservoir here, this return line right here, and I just capped it so that no fluid, I had capped it with a piece of hose going higher than the lid so that the fluid won't just keep pumping out of the reservoir. So I'm gonna remove this top bolt here, and the tensioner is probably just gonna fall if I had to guess. Reinstalling this probably won't be fun, although it might be easier from under the car. Maybe this is why they put these big long bolts in, so you can actually hold them. So that's the V-belt tensioner right there. It sucks because this stuff is still in good shape, but I'm gonna have to making a switch. I'm jumping over to the Serpentine side. So underneath here, there is a wire that attaches to the pump, but I'll be able to get that off once it drops down a little bit. But you're left with this 14 here. That guy's already loose. So I think that it's only 2 bolts that hold the pump on. Could be wrong though. It's the other bolt. No, I think I'm missing one. So I'm going to show you guys here. In this image, there is a bolt right there that is, it'll be facing the driver's side of the car, and it is right next to the return line. So I'm going to go look for that. I think it's a 14 if I had to guess. Everything else to mount it is a 14. Finesse this guy down. There's a washer. That's a nut to what? I don't know. Oh, unless I just took a nut off instead of a bolt. You know what? That'll make it. That makes more sense if it's just a matter of like sliding a like a stud. That makes more sense. Now, it's probably caught up on the lines that are still attached to it, but there it is. That's the power steering pump. So I'm gonna get the rest of this thing out, get the little electrical connection popped off, like so. It's just right there on top. It's like a pressure switch thing. Pump, down, and out. Up there is just the feed line, the return line, the electrical connection. I'm gonna be sure to brake clean all that to clean it all out. But then looking down here at the pump, like I said, I kept the return line on, so I'll swap the return lines onto the new pump once I have it. And what that'll do is it'll be easy for me to just feed it up and reattach. Everything with this pump is good. Like it's a good pump, made no noise. I mean, when it came to drifting, holy crap, I mean, it did the job, but it's just a V-belt. Now I'm gonna be completely honest with you in that I was expecting to be working on this thing by now. But you know, sometimes the old trusty 3000 GT just needs a little bit of work, and you know, sometimes she misses the constant attention, so she does things like this to get it. But it's all right. Hopefully we can hear back from Hans tomorrow and we can get our hands on the parts that we need and get this thing all buttoned up for the Freedom Factory in less than a month. So part 2 of this video is gonna be up. Once I get the parts in, we'll revisit it because I have other stuff to do between now and then. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll continue this later, and subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.